Hey you guys, it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all having a good day today. I am going to be doing two cards featuring the ink smooshing technique. I really do love this technique. It's fun in the simple fact that it's a little bit more of a controlled way to do a watercolor. So I'm going to be doing two cards here with two different color schemes. I've got milled lavender, blueprint sketch, and wilted violet. And so I wanted to create a little bit more of a darker background. And so the way I do this is I've got a piece of watercolor cardstock from Tim Holtz. I like this cardstock because it's bright white. And I like to do this technique like a little bit of a different way, I think, from everybody else. I get my acetate or packaging or any slick surface. You could also use like a stamp storage pocket if you don't have any acetate. And I like to add just a little bit of the color, obviously, onto the acetate. Spritz a little bit of the water onto the color, and then spritz a little bit of water onto my paper. So that way I've got a little bit of a wet on wet technique going. And then that way the color will move on its own, as well as I am smooshing it with my acetate, I can move it where I want to. So I'm going to start off with a light layer of color here. That's why I'm starting off with my lighter color. And I'm just going to build up this background. So each time that I get my colors to where I want them and where I want them kind of placed and how I like it where it's going, I'm going to heat set this in between. And this is going to allow those colors to dry and then create some harder edges and a little bit more of a natural way, I guess you'd say, of watercolor. And then each time I'm going to add just more and more color to this background. So I've added my middle color, which is the wilted violet, which is a beautiful purple. And now I want to add a little bit more of a blue tone to this background. So I've got my blueprint sketch, which is another blue, a beautiful blue color. And I like this color because it's obviously got a little bit more purple to it, purple hue to the blue. And it really tends to go well, obviously, with the purples because it's so close in color. So you can see there as I am drying this, you can also see where it's creating some harder edges because I've got both water on my cardstock as well as onto my acetate. So I thought I would add just a little bit more of the milled lavender. So I'm spritzing both the ink on the acetate and then my cardstock again. And then just kind of filling in some holes, if you will, around the cardstock and kind of making the background kind of expand just a little bit more all over the cardstock. I don't want it, all the way just in the middle. I want it to spread out evenly all over the cardstock and give it that unique feel of the watercolor. Of course, you guys, I am no expert when it comes to watercolor. I'm very much an amateur, but I like the way that it looks, and so I just kind of go with it too. Obviously, I know kind of like what I want to achieve here, but overall, even though it's a little bit more of a controlled technique when it comes to watercolor, I really have no idea how it's going to go until it happens. So if you've never tried this before, it's really fun. I really highly recommend giving it a try, and it's kind of addicting actually. It's just been a while since I've done this, so I thought I would get that technique out today of my little playbook, if you will, and play with two different color schemes. So I added some shimmer once I was happy with the way the background looked. I'm adding some shimmer just to give it some extra something to the background. So that's what I did off camera there. And now I'm going to heat set that. And it's very subtle. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's really beautiful in real life. So I'm going to heat set that and then let it, you can kind of see it there, kind of set that to a side and then work on the next color scheme. So we're going to get another piece of cardstock. This time I'm going to work on the textured side of the cardstock, just for something, of course, different. And I've got squeezed lemonade, abandoned coral, and dried marigold for my next color scheme here. And again, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before. I'm just going to apply a light layer of color first So you can kind of see I'm kind of spreading it like I'm spreading like butter on bread or whatever. But it really just helps me to fill in the whole entire piece of this cardstock and then add just a little bit more of harder edges around it. So I'm going to go in with the abandoned coral. Now, of course, this color is a little bit more, obviously more bold than the squeezed lemonade. So I wanted to add a little bit more water to this than I did before, and to help it really get moving around that cardstock. And then I'm going to go in with dried marigold to give it a little bit more orange to my color scheme. And of course the yellow and the pinky red really does go great with this dried marigold color. It kind of creates a little bit more of a peachy tone color as well. So I'm kind of dotting all over this cardstock and kind of getting some little dots of color too, and then also adding more color where it's going to dry with those hard edges. And I really think that this really turned out nicely. You could do this too with not having to actually ink smush it on there. You can just put these colors onto your craft sheet and pick them up, but you never know what you're going to get whenever you do that. So to finish off these cards, I'm going to add some really bold sentiments. Both of these sets are coming from Mama Elephant. They're the Hello Friend wishes and the Thank You wishes. And I'm going to use my Misty because I am stamping on watercolor cardstock. And I actually had to stamp this first sentiment, the Hello Friend sentiment, 4 times because it is thicker cardstock and I am stamping on watercolor cardstock, and of course it's textured. So, and I'm working with a bigger stamp too. So I'm really getting this really good and inked up, but I am stamping it down 4 times. So thank the Lord that we have the Misty. What did we do without it before? I really don't know. So I am really wanting to create a really bold black sentiment against this color. And I really like how that turned out. So I'm going to go back to my purple piece here, and this is going to have the thank you sentiment on it. And this one, it's a little bit of a smaller sentiment, but it still adds that bold sentiment to the background. And it kind of creates a quick and simple card too. It looks like you really worked on it for hours and hours. So I only inked this up 3 times because I think that stamp was obviously not quite as big as the other, so that helped. But so I die cut them with a rectangle stitched die off camera there, just to give it a little bit of finished edge. And now I've just got some white, smooth white cardstock, and I'm going to make an A2 top folding A2 size card. So I'm going to get my score buddy here and get that scored at 5.5 at the top there, and then get my bone folder and get that good and creased. And then I added some foam adhesive to the back of this because since these are a little bit more of a simple design, I wanted to give it some dimension just to add a little bit to the whole card design. So I was really generous with the foam adhesive there. So I took off the paper backings and then I'm adding them to my card base. And then what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of embellishment since these are a little bit more clean and simple. I thought I would get my Nuvo drops out and add a little bit of embellishment. So I've got these jewel drops from Nuvo, and I've got the gray mist color, and I've got the purple color. And I thought I would put the gray one on what's actually dry as kind of a gray translucent, if you will. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of dots onto that, and then switch over to the purple and add the purple one obviously to the purple card. So once those really dry down, they will dry kind of, like I said, clear and translucent, and it gives it a really neat finished touch there. So that completes our cards for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye-bye.